Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. I'm here to let you guys know that it is a great year to not have a top 3 pick in Dynasty rookie drafts. I'm going to come out and say that right now. Now, obviously, we want as high of a pick as we possibly can get, but if you're a competing team, a team that was a fringe playoff team, didn't make it for whatever reason, and you didn't end up with one of those top 2, 3, 4 picks, this is the year to have that happen to you. Let me just say that now. Really, there's 2 or 3 players at the top of this draft, and I think after that, between picks 4 and, hell, maybe even 14, it's really close. So, this is the year to kind of finesse and flex and trade down as much as you possibly can. And I'm going to let you know right now, my thought and strategy on this draft has completely changed now that I see where all these landing spots are at. Obviously, we've got Breece Hall at the top of this draft. He came in as the 1-1. He left it as the 1-1. Drake London shot up, first receiver off the board, went 8th overall. He's probably our number 2 player at this point. And then really the debate begins there. Number 3. Do you go Burks? Do you go Wilson? I've seen some folks take Kenny Walker there. But really the talent between picks 4 and like 14, 15 in that range, it's going to be very similar. This is the year, guys. This is absolutely the year. We've seen drafts as recently as last year. You had Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith going 6th, 7th overall in those drafts. Kyle Pitts. That's not going to be the case this year. There's talent, don't get me wrong, but the talent is going to be evenly distributed. I don't believe there's a whole lot of top-end talent here. Now, there's players that I really like, and obviously this is a receiver-rich draft. But really, this is not the year to go invest everything that you have into a top 3, 4 pick. I just don't see it. There's plenty of years where I personally am doing whatever I can to jump up. I want to get 2, number 3, wherever it can be. That's not the case in 2022 for me. If I'm sitting at 5 or 6, I'm completely content there. I'm not trying to look to move up to number 3 or number 4. Ideally, if I'm 5 or 6, I'm looking to trade back. That's what this draft is going to be. This is the draft to move your ass back. Slide back as far as you can go in that first round. Because I really don't think there's going to be a whole lot of difference between the player you're picking at 12 and the player you're picking at 5 or 6. There's just not going to be a whole lot of difference there. Slide back, pick up extra assets. That's the advice I can give to you after the 2022 NFL draft. Again, Breece Hall at the top of this, Drake London, maybe Burks, Garrett Wilson at 3-4 spot. And then after that, it gets pretty condensed. We're talking Jameson Williams, Chris Olave. Think about how many receivers went between the first and second round. There was a ton of them. You have a guy like Sky Moore, goes to KC in the second round. He's a smaller receiver. He's in that offense now with Pat Mahomes. Juju's there on a 1-year deal. What does that mean for Sky Moore? He's going to skyrocket up draft boards. And this is a player that no one was talking about in the first round a week ago. He is now going to be a first-round pick. Watson going to Green Bay in the second round. Again, he's probably looking at a back-end first-round pick. David Bell, back into the third round to Cleveland with Deshaun Watson in that situation. Late first, early second round value. George Pickens going to Pitt in the second round. He's going to come in with competition between Deontay and Chase Claypool, a new quarterback. He's going to slide into the back end of the first, early second. There's just a ton of talent at the receiver position that's spread out in this draft. I don't think there's a whole lot of top-end guys right out of the gate. Obviously, that changes as they get seasoned. They work on their weaknesses and improve their strengths and all that good stuff. But out of the gate, I'm not seeing any, Jamar Chases, Waddles, Devontae Smiths in this draft. I'm not seeing that. Even guys at the top. You look at Drake London, he's going to walk into the best situation. He's probably going to be looking at a 25% target share out of the gate. Who else do they have? Alden Tate was their big free agent signing at receiver this year. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is there. But Drake London is going to be the wide receiver 1 on that team day 1. But there's concerns there. Does his athletic profile translate to a wide receiver 1? We'll find out. I do know the guy's, a very large receiver, goes up, fights for the ball, high points it, all of that good stuff. He has a lot of nice attributes. We're going to see what happens with that. So this is not the draft though, guys, honestly. People were saying that before, but this is not the draft to invest heavily in terms of trading up the board. Be patient. sit where you're at, especially in those first round, early second round. And those are the picks I'm actually targeting. Back into the first, early to mid second round picks. Go grab those picks right now. That's where the value is going to be at, the value play. Let someone else pay to move up, from 9 to 3 or 9 to 4. Let someone else do that. You slide back into that 10 to 15 range, and you're still going to get a similar type talent as you would if you were picking at 5, 6, 7. It's my belief in this draft this year. So, with that said, there's a lot to like about this draft, especially if you're in an IDP league. If you play IDP, there's going to be a lot of IDP talent. And I think this draft has some unique players to look for in terms of targeting for next season, 2023, 2024. So not this season coming up. There's running backs that I like a lot that got drafted late in this draft. Even receivers, like, again, I mentioned him earlier. You look at David Bell going into the third round to Cleveland, Deshaun Watson. I repeat, Deshaun Watson, a top-tier quarterback. What's at receiver in Cleveland? Besides Amari Cooper, there's not a whole lot. Bell's going to have a clear opportunity to produce year 1, year 2. So, you look at players like that, and you have to wonder what you're going to be doing in this draft in terms of securing future assets. And what I mean by that, like, this might not be the draft to draft for this year, if that makes sense. Like, you may not be able to come in here and get a bunch of studs to help you win this year. This may be your draft to focus on the future. Think about what teams are doing. Think about, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. If you're sitting at 4, 5, 6 in that range, like a player I would really be targeting, Jameson Williams, man. Like, the dude is an absolute stud. Obviously transferred from Ohio State, went to Bama, put up a huge season, tore the ACL. Apparently he's ahead of schedule. Detroit traded up into the first round to get him. So he still has a first round draft pedigree attached to him. Look at what Detroit's doing. They're building a really nice offensive line. Couple that with Swift, with Hawkinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. If things don't go well with Goff, which they're not going to go well with Goff this year, Detroit's going to be in prime position next season in 2023 when that draft class is loaded at QB to go get a stud. And what does that do for Jameson? I mean, his stock can absolutely skyrocket as early as next season. So those are the type of moves I think we really, really need to think about. I would probably put Jameson, for me, over Garrett Wilson. You look at the Jets, right? Do you trust Zach Wilson? Corey Davis is there. Elijah Moore is there. There's already targets that he's going to have to share. I don't know. Like, to me, that might not be the best play. And I think we're going to be discussing these type of scenarios all the way through the first round. All the way through. I think right now you can pin Breece Hall, Drake London in 1-2. After that, I think it's really a toss-up. I like Burks a lot. I think anyone who's watched this channel knows I like Burks a lot. He did not test as well as people thought he would, but I didn't really think he was going to test great to begin with. You turn out his tape, he's not like some blazer or stuff like that. He's a different type of receiver. He's a physical receiver, 6'2", 220 plus pounds. And what happened? The Titans traded A.J. Brown for the draft pick that they used to go get Burks. Who is he compared to most often? A.J. Brown. All right? That's a run-first offense, obviously. Robert Woods is there now. But if he finds his way into a similar target share that A.J. Brown had, we've seen what he's been able to do. Turns into a fringe wide receiver 1. Is that going to be his destiny right out of the gate? Probably not. But what did Tennessee do? Who did they take? What quarterback did they take? They took Willis, right? This is a play and this is a move to think about for 2-3 seasons down the line. It's almost a perfect succession plan. Let him learn behind Ryan Tannehill. The thing about Tannehill, you guys got to remember, he was a receiver in college, right? Like, he started off his college career as a wide receiver, transitioned to quarterback, and he has turned a nice career out of that. Willis is obviously not polished. He's not ready to go right out of the gate right now. That's why he fell. But the talent is there, right? He's Jalen Hurts, speed-wise with a much better arm. If he can mold that and sit and learn behind a professional like Ryan Tannehill for a few seasons, that Burks pick becomes really interesting down the line. Do you take Burks right now with the anticipation that Willis turns into something? Like, these are the type of thoughts we have to have in the back of our mind. When you look at the running back play, I wanted to touch on running back, obviously, for a minute. A lot of the RBs, they fell pretty hard. We can see, obviously, Breece Hall, Walker went to a nice situation. And by nice situation, you have to look at what's around him. The two RBs that are in front of him on one-year contracts. This is it. So, again, this is a play probably for next season. I think Walker's going to find himself in the same situation that Javonte Williams was in last year. Stuck behind Melvin Gordon for the most, first half, 2/3 of the season. Really started turning it on towards the back end. And now look at where Javonte Williams is at in terms of startup drafts and his dynasty draft stock. It's through the roof. I see the same trajectory for Walker. Okay? Then you look at other RBs. Like Spiller going where he went. It was crazy he slid as far as he did, and obviously the combine stuff did not help. But could he have found himself in a better situation? I don't think so. Having Herbert there, obviously Eckler's the RB1 there, but how much longer does Eckler have? How much longer does he have? He's a small scat back, great at receiving, but he's starting to creep up into that age zone where we dump our running backs. Spiller, obviously, if he comes in and he can prove that his tape is no fluke and that, what happened at the combine and all of that, his pro day stuff, that is behind him and there was a legitimate injury, if he comes in and grabs a hold of that situation, next season, the year beyond that, Spiller could be an absolute stud in PPR leagues. These are the moves that we have to think about. Early second-round pick for Spiller for me in a Dynasty rookie draft this year, I'm investing it 100%. If I can grab Spiller, between picks 15, 17, somewhere around there, I'm doing it. So it's going to be super interesting. This is probably going to be one of the most fun but nerve-wracking drafts for a rookie draft in a while. For me, I can see the writing on the wall already. Before I end this, though, I want to talk about the quarterback play, and especially to those in Superflex leagues. If you were counting on a quarterback this year to come in and help you win games, I'm sorry to tell you that's probably not going to happen. Now, some of them landed in really good spots. And by really good spots, the competition in front of them is, ass at best. So we'll see what happens with that. Kenny Pickett, the first off the board, going to Pittsburgh. He's going to find himself behind Mason Rudolph, which there's not a lot to overcome with Mason Rudolph. And then obviously Trubisky. Now, Pitt did not invest a whole lot of money in Trubisky. Obviously, he's going to be a stopgap, and I expect him to start for at least half the season, if not the full season, and let Pickett get seasoned. The only thing about that makes me wonder if Pitt is going to throw Pickett right out there is his age. He's already 24 years old. He's an older rookie. Right away, he's already kind of old for a rookie. So if you're Pittsburgh, do you wait a year? Do you burn another year of that and not see what you have until he's 25? I don't know if that's the move to make. And I don't know if Pitt's going to make that move. So that part's going to be interesting to me. Obviously, Willis, he's not playing this year, not unless Tannehill gets hurt. Like, who else? Who else is even going to be considered a first or second round super flex pick? I don't think there's going to be a whole lot. And you might see some of the other guys towards the back end of the second, but that's another chance of another opportunity for super flex managers that are hurting at quarterback. This might be the year, especially the teams that are already winning, teams that are already competitive, that are going to have back end second round picks. Maybe you throw, a late second, burn a late second on one of these other rookie quarterbacks that landed in, somewhat decent spot in terms of who's sitting in front of them. So you have, Matt Corral, obviously, Ritter. Is it really going to take a whole lot to beat up Marcus Mariota or Sam Darnold, players like that? I don't think so. Especially if they get out and they're not playing well. These rookie quarterbacks might have a chance back half of the season, going into the fantasy playoffs. So all of this is on my mind right now. you look at all the receivers that went in the first round, and there was a lot of them. In the second round, there was a lot of them. Even into the third round. I mean, a bulk of these draft picks are going to be receivers through the first 3 rounds of this rookie draft. Our Dynasty rookie drafts. You know, how many running backs are going to go? There's a few that I like. But again, do I really trust RBs that don't have a whole lot of draft capital invested in them? To me, like, that cutoff is that 4th round. If it's 5th, 6th, 7th round, I'm probably not messing with them. Obviously, none went in the first round. So, between rounds 2 and 4, you know, obviously I've already mentioned the top 3 that I'm going to be targeting. There's a couple more. But really, this is going to be a receiver-heavy draft. And I'm going to repeat it. I would not invest a whole lot to move up in this draft. If you're sitting at 3 or 4, in the coming weeks, I'm guessing stuff is going to shake out a little bit more. There's going to be a pecking order that kind of starts to materialize. Outside of that, though, if you're picking 5 through 14, 15, I'm not looking to do a whole lot other than slide down. I'm looking to trade down, accumulate future draft picks if I can. If you can move from 5 to 12 and pick up, you know, a second rounder next year, or, I mean, even if you had to kick in something else, go from 5 to 12 and maybe a second rounder this year to grab a first next year, whatever you can do, like, I'm doing that all day. I am looking to slide down in this draft if I'm not picking in the top 3 or 4. And probably the top 3. I might cut it from there. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys, you know, are getting geared up and getting ready for, you know, Dynasty rookie drafts. I know my leagues are drafting here in the next couple weeks. So we're not going to have a whole lot of time to you really shake the tree on this. It's going to be us drafting and using our scouting abilities to really pick the players that we like the most. You know, my one league, I'm picking 3rd. So the Dynasty League Dynamo League, I'm picking 3rd, and in our inaugural rookie draft. And I can honestly say, if I stay at 3, it is going to be tough right now between 3 receivers that I have in my mind. I kind of know where 1 and 2 should go. I'd be surprised if 1 and 2 didn't go the way I think they're going to go. But if they don't, I'll be ready to pounce on one of those 2. But if it goes the way I think it will, I've got 3 receivers in my mind for that pick at 3. You know, talking about Burks, obviously. We are talking about Jameson Williams. And I'm going to keep the 3rd one to myself. I don't want to let it go. I know a lot of folks watch this that are in my league. I'm going to keep the 3rd one a surprise, which means that's probably the one I'm going to draft. So I'm going to leave it at that. All right, Dynamo Nation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop it down below. And yeah, good luck in the fantasy offseason here. Good luck in these Dynasty drafts. This is going to be crazy. Stand pat. Don't freak out. Don't try to slide up and down that damn board. If you can legitimately move back and stay in the top 13, 14, 15 picks, absolutely do it. I don't think there's going to be a huge talent discrepancy between 5 and 15. I really don't see it this year. So, all right. That's going to be it. You guys have a great week. Stay safe.